I'm pumped to talk with you. We have a lot to talk about. Last Thursday was a big day. You released some new music, and I want to get into all that. But before we do, could you talk a little bit about your story and how you got into making music?
Absolutely. I got into music making pretty late, I guess, for most people. I get pretty envious of all the young studs out there that end up kind of hitting their stride when they're like 17. I'm just like, I didn't even start until I was maybe 18. It was in college. I basically took my first music production class at Brown, and I was like, I always thought it was something that you needed like a whole studio space for, and to really get like a good sound. But things really started changing around 2010, where you could get that high fidelity sound with all the software. And throughout college I learned a little bit here and there, but it wasn't like my number one focus. And then after school, I got a job in New York as a composer at a music house. So I was doing songs for like commercials and stuff, but I only did that for about a year. But yeah, it's just interesting. My journey's been like a little slow, frankly. Like, I had a previous alias that I still use on occasion, but I wanted to kind of focus in on a really specific sound for what is becoming the brand Nick Newhouse.
Absolutely. And I think there's nothing wrong with having a slower timeline than some or starting later than some because everyone's different. It's not a race. So,
Yeah.
here we are. Flash forward to today. We have Even Heat in overalls. Are we calling this an EP, a double single? What are we calling this?
I am calling it. Hold on, I'm gonna move you into profile or
Ooh, okay.
landscape.
Nice.
We're calling it a double single. I When I was submitting demos to a few labels, I had 4 songs that I kind of considered to be an EP or something that I could deliver as 4 songs. And then the folks over at Mad Zoo, which is run by Matt Zoe, he was like, I love these 2 tracks off of this. Would you mind if we kind of did a double single thing instead of releasing all 4 of these songs? And I was like, okay. And this was much, much earlier this year. They were kind of backed up. They had a lot of stuff scheduled. But yeah, I basically decided I'm not that precious about the way in which I release music, as long as there's, kind of a little bit of promotional effort. So it doesn't just go out and die in the vast ocean of songs on the internet.
And so many do. Yes, I totally feel you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know we already have a video for Even Heat, which I love, and you were the creative director on that? Is that what it is? And producer on the video?
Yeah. So it's so funny. I'm not really like super familiar with all of the film terminology, but I guess I'm the creative director, as you mentioned, and I guess executive producer.
Fancy.
I think a lot of the stuff that a producer would do wasn't really necessary because we were just, I would just hire these animators that I met through a good friend of mine. And I worked with the lead animator to finish the storyboard and create the kind of arc of it, which is a very, I don't know, it's something you can interpret for yourself, I suppose. Like, I think of it in one way, I'm sorry about all the noise.
Okay, it's very New York. I love it. It's adding to it. The ambiance.
Yeah, I just don't understand why this guy keeps double beeping his car. Stop. Just stop.
Just stop. Just stop.
It's like, don't you know I'm in the middle of an interview? Anyway,
Rude
yeah,
and inconsiderate.
so inconsiderate. It's inconsiderate of me to not find a more quiet place.
No, no, this is perfect.
Duck out. It is pretty New York. So anyway, to continue the thought, I basically conceptualized it with the lead animator, this guy by the name of Mike Carfora, and he did the whole trippy subway dance. But we ended up with like 4 animators, some of which were just doing like cleanup, some of which were kind of in charge of coloring. And yeah, I just kind of was leading the vision of it all by the time they were animating, and I was so happy with the team that I had that it was really pretty smooth sailing once I had an agreement with all of them.
I loved it. I've had only a few experiences in New York City thus far in my life, but the subway scene where they're eating cereal on the subway, I was like, yeah, that's what I feel about the subway in New York City. Like no one questions it. It just is what it is. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's a lot that goes on in the subway that you do question, but
uh-huh.
honestly, eating food, even cereal, is it's honestly a little more normal than you'd think.
Oh my God. In New York,
Here.
not on a subway, but in the streets, I walked by a man. I'm not even gonna say what he was doing, but you can imagine it was very inappropriate. And I was like, damn, like he's just out here like this, like in his own world. Like it's mostly disgusting,
Yeah.
but a part of me is like, what a free human being. A nasty one, but he's free. God
Oh,
bless.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
there's no avoiding some of that.
no, that's for sure.
It is.
You mentioned before this was kind of like your debut with Mad Zoo. What was it like working with them over there?
For me, it was great. Basically, I had a meeting with Matzo and a guy by the name of Andrew Cond. I'm not exactly sure how to say his last name. Anyway, it's kind of, he helps run the label with Matt, and yeah, we just had kind of like a get to know you chat, and we were just talking about the music a little bit. I've been a fan of his forever. Like throughout my college years, he was constantly on in the background or foreground.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was really cool for me. I was just like, wow, it's nice to have, someone I really look up to say, hey, I like your music, or at least some of it.
Yeah.
So working with them was great. Andrew made my life really easy when I was like, hey, do you mind if we edit a few things in this contract? Or, is there any chance we could like make a PR push, or like, what do we have on that end of things? Like he was, first of all, super responsive, super nice, and super accommodating. So I felt like I was getting a lot of love from Mad Zoo, and yeah, I just think it's like a great spot for me to put out these two tracks and sort of attract some other labels as well, because it's not like, it's 2021, not you don't get signed for like 3 record deals or something. Like I just, I put these 2 songs out and we're seeing how that goes. And then if I want to, follow up with more stuff at Mad Zoo, I can do that. But I have I've got my eyes on some other labels as well that I think could be interesting for future songs.
Yes, that's very exciting. I saw also, in addition to music, you had a series on YouTube, Slept On by Spotify. What was that?
So it's been forever since I've filmed an episode, and as you know, sometimes scheduling is a huge headache. I've had a couple artists that I wanted to schedule with that are less responsive than I would like, and anyway, the concept of the show is that there's a way to look up your own popularity score on Spotify.
Oh.
And that's a metric that they store in their back end. It's a score from 0 to 100. And every single artist has one, and it changes based on, how many monthly listeners you have, or how many, I don't know, playlists you're in. Like that score is super like unknown. Like they tell you like a couple things about it, but it's just like, hey, here's your score from like 0 to 100. And like Beyonce is like a 91 and I'm like a 11 or something.
Oh, hey, that's still not bad.
Yeah, no, it isn't bad. I'm not that mad about it. I don't really take it personally, but the whole point of the show is to do 2 things. One is to spread a little awareness that Spotify actually has a lot of control over who becomes popular and who is not popular. And, most artists and lovers of music kind of have an understanding of that. But I think the average person doesn't really realize that, making rent 1 month because you were on a playlist doesn't mean you make it the next month when you're off the playlist. You know what I mean? Like that's the life of a musician now, is they're really hoping Spotify editors give them love, or the algorithmic playlists end up putting their music on, and Spotify controls that, right? And that's okay, but they deliberately don't give users as many features as you would think to allow them to customize their experience on Spotify. And I use Spotify. Like it's a product that is really, really, really nice for most people. And from their perspective, they're like, hey, we stopped music piracy. And from our perspective as artists, we're like, well, you're paying us 0.001 cents per stream. And
it's insane.
It's a little messed up. But so that's the Spotify side of things. The slept on side of things is like, I know a lot of artists just in the underground scene that I'm just like, they don't get enough love, and they sure as shit don't get enough like compensation. And what I wanted to do was basically have an interview series. It's like part technical, part non-technical, where I just sit down with some artists for like an hour or two, watch them like work on some music or see one of their sessions, and pay them for their time as well, because it's so common that artists are just like, hey, here, you get exposure, and it's like, cool, I need to eat.
Yeah, literally, I need a place to live, but thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Absolutely. Well, I love that idea. That's super cool. I hope you can make some more videos in the near future.
I will. I promised to make like so many this year, and then I had like all these videos that I was working on, and like a random viral TikTok thing that I'm chasing this rabbit hole. It's very strange, but that's one of the reasons why I'm in Brooklyn today.
I'm actually so happy you mentioned TikTok, because that leads me into my next question. You have quite the following on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I was going through watching your videos about Catan, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, Nick, until I saw your TikTok, I'd never heard of this game. So please, I would love to hear all about it and how you became such a fan.
Okay. All right. You should not feel embarrassed for not having heard of Settlers of Catan. But yeah, basically, this is a board game that I would play with my friends in college all the time, and even before college. It became pretty popular in the 2000s, but I think it's been around maybe a little longer than that. And I won't get into the concept, but I basically had this idea a long time ago to create just like the world's nicest version of this board with like a super minimalist aesthetic. And like LEDs kind of shining through translucent acrylic to make the whole thing like very slick, very minimal, and super low effort to set up. And then I made this one TikTok video that's like a minute long where I'm showing how I did it. And for some reason, the algorithm just grabbed onto it and showed it to every nerd on TikTok. And all of a sudden I had like 12,000 more followers than I did previously. And keep in mind, my TikTok handle is like Nick Newhouse Music. And then the one like, the one nerdy thing or whatever that I posted was just non-music. My music's in the background, but it didn't exactly help. It's mostly just my voiceover. So that's a platform that is very interesting. I don't 100% understand.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone does, because that algorithm is crazy on TikTok. Yeah. Did you end up giving that board away to somebody?
Yeah, the first one that I made, I gave away. And I've essentially promised everyone that I'm making more, and I am. I'm working in Brooklyn with a guy who is like a furniture maker. He specializes in woodworking. So he's handling all of that, making it really, really nice. And I'm doing kind of all the electronics and 3D printing and laser cutting and all that stuff.
Wow, you're staying busy over there, Nick. That's awesome. And speaking of TikTok,
it's so random.
Learned that you volunteered for COVID vaccine research.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank
true.
You. God love you for that, Nick. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was pretty fun. I wouldn't say fun. Well, it was basically March of 2021, and I guess.
Uh-oh, you froze on me, Nick. Oh no, are you there? Oh, we're back, Nick. I can't hear you yet. You're on mute though. There we go.
I'm glad you're. I'm just going to start walking back towards where I think I'm going to have better service.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the COVID trial thing was basically in March of 2021, they had approved some vaccines, but people under the age of like 65 weren't getting them yet. And I had signed up like last October in 2020 for so much sound for to volunteer, and I was going to be in an AstraZeneca study, but I couldn't be back in the city in time, and they were running it through Columbia University. But I ended up joining Sanofi, which is a French pharmaceutical trial, and I got 2 experimental vaccines basically that hadn't, this was a phase 2. I had symptoms after my second shot, felt okay. They pay you, which was like, all right, I'll take
Nothing wrong with that.
some side money, like whatever. Yeah. And honestly, I just was like, this might be an opportunity to put my mind at ease and get a vaccine of some sort early, even if it doesn't end up like working all that well. And that was it's an ongoing study though. They like draw my blood every like 3 months now. It's weird.
No way. How long do you have to keep doing that for? Do you know? Forever.
Oh God, no. I think the study was supposed to be like 2 or 3 years.
Okay. That's
but
awesome.
I don't know. I don't know if they're continuing it because I think they decided it wasn't worth creating another COVID vaccine. Their phase 3, I think they cut short. They were like, we're done with it.
Yep.
It seems like those other guys have it handled.
Yeah, well, at least someone did. Someone got a handle, then we have these now. So that's great. Thank you for doing that. That's amazing. You're a risk taker, Nick. I love to see it.
Yes. I know. I got a lot of flack.
What? For what? Sorry. It's your body. What the hell?
Yeah, well, there was at least a couple commenters on TikTok when I was talking about it that were like, oh yeah, I guess whatever $800 or whatever you got is what your health is worth. At least you get to paint your nails again. And I was like, what the?
You're like, yes, I do. Thank you.
And I was like, I painted them myself, dude. Like that doesn't cost that much.
People are wild, and people are always going to have something to say no matter what. People would have something to say if they didn't get vaccinated. So it's like, pish posh.
Yeah, and I mean, they're all behind the keyboard, and it's like, I don't take the internet too seriously, frankly.
Good. Yeah, it's bad for your health if you do. So good for you. As we can see from the background, you're a New Yorker through and through. So I would love to know, what is your favorite thing about the Big Apple? Look at it.
Yeah, this is, I'm in Red Hook, which is a part of Brooklyn right now because I'm working out of this guy's shop on these boards. But, it's hard to say. I live in the Lower East Side, and that is in like downtown, below what we call Houston Street. Which, triggers all the Texans out there. And I really do love that neighborhood because there's so much, like my favorite thing about New York is food, period. Food and drinks as well. But like, the drinks are expensive and the food's kind of expensive, but to me, the food's like more worth it. So I have like 3 favorite things. I'll talk about them. One is, a friend of mine opened up basically what is a Michelin star Italian, freshly made, like handmade pasta restaurant. Yes. It's called Forsythia. And I'm not just saying that because like I know the guy. He studied in Rome. He makes some of the best pasta like in the city. You just have to try it out. And it's like 3 blocks from my place. Perfect. So good. This new spot called Double Chicken Please.
Yeah, I already love it.
Opened up, and it's such a strange thing because they have like chicken sandwiches, but they also have draft cocktails, which I didn't know was a thing until I went there. They're basically like made every day, and then they're just like on draft like a beer, but they're cocktails. Really good. And then the back room, which is like a whole different energy, they hand make cocktails inspired by food dishes. Yeah. Really weird, but their signature cocktails are called like French toast, sticky rice, like beet salad or something. And then you have them and you're like, you think you're going to be grossed out, but they're just delicious. They're so good. Double Chicken Please. Okay. Bon Bon is a Swedish candy store also in the Lower East Side. and the candy's really good, but they also make Scandinavian styled hot dogs once a week, every Sunday.
Yes.
And yeah, those are my three like absolute go-tos every week. I'm probably at one of them.
Oh, amazing. You're making me want to go back to New York. The last time I was there was days before the pandemic hit. Probably
Oh,
when you
man.
were getting, no, actually a year ahead, 2020, March of 2020. And
Right.
I miss it. I can't wait to come back for sure. I love it out there in Brooklyn, especially.
Oh man, well, there's so many shows now. I'm literally going to see Porter Robinson tonight in Brooklyn, which I'm super excited about. I know he's put a incredible amount of effort into his live show. I want to see what it looks like in person, you know.
Yes. Oh, well, I can't wait to see footage from that. And speaking of that, my next question was going to be, what artists have you been listening to lately?
Oh, I actually just put together like a bunch of mixes of like a lot of kind of electronica stuff. I mean, I would say my biggest inspiration for the music that I make as Nick Newhouse is stuff like Babs and Blank Banshee and Tennyson. The kind of like atmospheres and details and I mean, Babs has really interesting vocal processing that really holds up over time. Like I'm talking even the early stuff is still just really inventive. I really, really love those three artists. I guess would be the first ones that come to mind. I mean, Robotaki as well was also kind of huge, like a few years back when he was really blowing up. But yeah, I mean, that's four right there, but it's different every day. And I have, I could hop over to Spotify and share my screen and show you it all. But
one of these days. I'll wait for the next Stuffed On by Spotify video.
Yes, that's where the real underground talent is.
That's right, exactly. Well, last but certainly not least, Nick, my final question for you. Here in Maine, our state motto is the way life should be. So I want to know, according to you, what is the way life should be?
Wow, that's vague. To me, it seems like Maine is saying that you got to come to Maine, you got to check it out, and this is the way life should be.
Pretty much, that's what we're trying to say.
Man, it's been a while since I've been to Maine, but I would love to go back. My sister just went to a wedding there. Anyway, I'm dodging the question. The way life should be, honestly, on an individual level, I just think like you need to find a way to just make time for the things that you truly, truly love. And that sounds really corny and obvious, but like, I will move the sun and moon. I don't know what the expression is, but I will do pretty much like anything for my friends and my family and to prioritize like those people and spend time with them as much as possible. You don't really realize it, but those relationships are kind of all you have. And that can be over in an instant, which is maybe a little bit of a dark thought. But just because of that, I just try to create as many lasting memories with those people as I can. And, obviously I got to do work and stuff, and I can't always just be having fun and making new stories. But those are the types of things that we always at the dinner table, that one time you got a little too faded and came up with some really dumb idea that was actually kind of hilarious. You mistook Bones for Holes, the TV show Bones for the movie Holes.
The film and book Holes.
Yes, right. Because I was trying to figure out what the hell David Boreanaz was from. Anyway.
I wish he was in Holes. That was an overlook.
That would be hysterical.
Oh, I couldn't have said that better myself, Nick. That's so cool that you've been to Maine. Where do you remember you were?
Yeah. I went to camp in Maine for 2 years.
Oh my
Uh, it was kind of a bougie one. I actually did really like it, but that's not like what Maine is. Like Maine isn't
Yeah.
camp. That's stupid. Um, but that was probably my most. There's no way I haven't been back to Maine since then, but I'm sure I'm failing to think of when. I got to come back. Where is Hot Radio based out of in Maine?
So we are in southern Maine, so in the Portland area of
Okay.
Maine. Where was your sister for a wedding? Do you know what town?
God, I'm like, I'm about to search through my text. Does the camera stay on when I do this, by the
It
way?
doesn't, but that's okay. I only
Oh,
ask because I DJ a lot of weddings, so I wonder if we ever cross paths.
oh, that's so funny.
That would be a hoot.
I actually don't think it's in this text thread, but
That's okay. That's okay.
they obviously flew because Maine is far. It's enormous. It's
It,
enormous and also far.
yeah, it really is a huge state, bigger than we even realize. Well, Nick, thank you so much. I hope we can get you back here for maybe a performance or something one of these days. Maybe make your main experience less campy.
Yes. I
Absolutely.
I would love that. Thank you so much for chatting. It's been like an absolute treat, seriously.
Oh, good. This was a treat for me as well. So thank you so much, and we'll keep watching, see what you do next, Nick.
I I don't even know what it's gonna be. We're gonna make it up on the go, on the
It's a
fly.
mystery for us all.
Nah, I got
Amazing.
you.
Well, you take care until we meet again.
Awesome. Thanks, Haley.
Bye, Nick.